Here's what's coming up on your horizon. Well, if you're lucky, you've had one, a teacher that impacts your life. Now, it may have been as simple as someone showing an interest in you when others hadn't, or as complex as opening doors to new worlds of thought and discovery you never knew existed. Today, our focus is on education and the lifelong impact it can have. We begin with an interesting turn at the state capitol. Courtney May takes us to the rockinest arena in the state thanks to some very excited FFA students.
That's right, Rob. I'm here at the FFA Convention Center in downtown Oklahoma City at the Oklahoma State FFA Convention. Members are filing in, they're here, they're excited, and they're ready to get this first general session underway.
We check in on a teacher who's changed lives and in doing so changed his own. And we meet the Oklahoma CEO who credits his success to someone believing in him enough to send him off to college. Stay with us for Oklahoma Horizon.
Oklahoma Horizon is made possible by Career Tech, a job for every Oklahoman and a workforce for every company. With additional support from the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry.
Hello everyone, thanks for joining us here on Horizon. I'm Rob McClendon. Well, there are times when things just feel different, and politically, 2016 is one of those years. From Donald Trump turning the Republican Party on its head to a socialist Democrat giving Hillary Clinton a run for her money, many believe that come November, voters may be ready for a change. And a similar dissatisfaction is starting to be felt here on the state level. When candidates filed for election in mid-April, many incumbents found themselves drawing opponents from what could be the state's most powerful voting bloc. Education is no stranger to the state capitol. Of appropriated funds, it takes the lion's share. In recent years, teachers have gathered by the thousands to ask for increases in state dollars for the classroom. But this year, those coming to 23rd and Lincoln are taking a different approach. Bruce Plant's editorial cartoon in the Tulsa World may sum it up best, where the matronly teacher is greeted by a lawmaker who says, "Well, if it isn't my favorite teacher, you're not here for another protest, are you?" And she replies, "No, I'm here to measure my new office." More than 40 educators filed to run for the legislature, upset over a seemingly growing disconnect between the classroom and the Capitol. Some of these, the very teachers who will be losing their education jobs because of budget cuts and forced layoffs. And whether this approach will prove more successful than the protests of years past could well be determined by teachers themselves, who often shy away from the political fray and don't show up at the ballot box. Well, Governor Fallin has proposed a 4.5% increase for the state education department, while higher education and career tech would see similar decreases. It's still not enough to make the books balance. That would take cuts in other areas of government and/or reforms in tax incentives and other revenue-generating measures. When we return, we look at the motivation behind a new generation of educators.
You're watching Oklahoma Horizon with Rob McClendon. Weekly insight into your changing world.
Well, this school year has been especially tough for education. Inadequate state school funding has forced a growing number of districts to go to a 4-day teaching week in hopes of saving money. And it could get worse next year. According to a survey by the Cooperative Council for Oklahoma School Administration, more than 1,000 school employees could find themselves out of a job come next fall. Even so, there's a new generation of teachers that, despite such bleak news, are encouraging others to follow in their footsteps. Our Courtney May attended this past week's FFA Convention, where students from across the state learned firsthand why their instructors teach.
Rob, as you can see behind me, there's no shortage of enthusiasm from the 7,000 students gathered here at the Cox Convention Center for the 88th State FFA Convention, and hopes are to grow similar enthusiasm among these students to become ag teachers. They believe in the future of agriculture. They believe in their students, and they believe in the purpose of this jacket. They are agriculture education instructors, and they're changing the lives of students across Oklahoma.
I tell my kids all the time, I love you and I'm proud of you, and that's a true thing. They have to repeat that back to me right before they're going in a ring, right before they go to a speech contest, because that's it. I love you, I'm proud of you, and who's going to rock it? You are. That's right. The relationship building with the students is huge, but I think they make as much difference on me as I do them.
It takes a special person to do this job, but to these special people, it doesn't even seem like work.
I don't think there has been a single day that it's really felt like a job. I get to come do this and I love what I'm doing, and I get a paycheck at the end of the month, and it's crazy.
Trevor Lucas is the ag instructor at Calumet Public Schools, and before Lucas landed this job, FFA didn't exist in this rural community.
There was a lot of excitement when I got here because I'd never had FFA, but not a lot of people knew what it was. So I got to start from the bottom, ground up, with students who had no idea what the FFA was. They thought all of them had to be, from a farm or live on a farm to be an FFA, and to kind of come here and open their eyes has been really cool.
Cheyenne Hood is the president of Calumet FFA, and she says Lucas is the perfect fit for their chapter.
Mr. Lucas is like the most caring man I've ever came encounter with. He will help anyone around here, and he puts us in front of everything else. His job is his most important thing. I think that's amazing, and it helps so many people around here. And I think if we would have had somebody else here that wasn't feeling as strongly about ag as Mr. Lucas does, we would have a successful program as we do today.
And if you think this is just a man's job, think again. Women are taking the ag teaching world by storm.
Females are now figuring out that, yes, I can do the exact same job as well as any male ag teacher. We're not scared to go out and get our hands dirty. We're not scared to go walk through the mud. The female teachers that are out there now have set that example that, yes, it can be done, regardless if you're a first-year teacher and you have no family, or you're a teacher coming into the ag teaching world and you've already have your family established. It can be done.
Those places we might have to do after school type of thing.
And ag teachers are more than just a teacher who lectures in front of the classroom. They're the biggest fan of the shy kid who sits in the back of the room. They're willing to inspire their students to be above average and help them find their place.
They can find a place here, and it's my job to put them where they can succeed. And that's the greatest part about teaching ag, is being able to find those students that have no place, and they can find a place here.
And after long days and late nights, the same thing keeps these teachers waking up and doing it all over again tomorrow.
Whether it be, 5:15 in the morning or, coming back from a speech contest at 11 at night, the energy that they bring in is undescribable. And so what gets me up every morning is getting to be able to see my students.
More than 350 ag teachers traveled with their students across the state to Oklahoma City for State FFA Convention. Awards will be given to teachers and students for their hard work throughout the year. It's a celebration in Oklahoma City for agriculture education and FFA.
All right, thank you so much, Courtney.
You're welcome, Rob.
Well, also at this year's convention, the Oklahoma FFA unveiled the results of its Hunger Challenge. 201 FFA chapters participated in the program that donates food and money to Oklahoma's regional food bank. Altogether, a total of 511 animals were donated, up by almost 50% from last year. A total of 764,000 protein sticks will be produced from those animals, enough to supply every hungry child's backpack for 2 years. And for the first time, a total of 4,000 $868.50 in cash was donated through the Sense Makes Sense program, which will provide just over 24,000 meals to those who are truly in need of food on a regular basis.
Still to come on Oklahoma Horizon, an environmental bounty of beauty. But first, the heart of a teacher.
Well, many of the best lessons taught by teachers are not out of a book or even in a classroom. They're those moments when you learn by example. Austin Moore introduces us to a teacher who's changed lives and in doing so, changed his own.
If you were to mistake Tanner Thompson for one of his agricultural education students, you would be forgiven. Not only because he looks and, in fact, is young, but because this sixth-year teacher is usually working beside his students rather than lecturing them from the front.
Agricultural education excels because it is hands-on. We're teaching a lot of the same principles that are being taught in the core classes, reinforcing what those science and math teachers are teaching, but we're doing so in a way that the students can grasp what's going on. They can get their hands dirty and understand those same principles, but in a very realistic manner.
Lessons learned in this manner tend to stick. They stuck so well to former Cheyenne FFA student and current Congressman Frank Lucas that he still calls on them today.
The skills that I had an opportunity to develop in this particular program, yes, there were public speaking, and yes, we spent a lot of time discussing livestock breeds and health issues, and we discussed how you manage your business as a young farmer rancher starting out. But all of those skills serve a purpose. The techniques you learn here, maybe not everyone is going to go to a four-year comprehensive university. If you are, then everything that you've had in the program will help you. Maybe you're going to go to a community college or a junior college, a two-year program, and then use the skills that you enhance there to move forward. Or Oklahoma has an outstanding career tech system.
For Lucas and his classmates, that foundation was laid by ag teacher Gary Kirk.
So I only had one rule: don't make Kirk mad. And it's up to you to figure out what makes me mad. So therefore, I didn't have any problems.
For 35 years, Kirk used sows, cows, and especially tractors to nourish western Oklahoma's most important crop.
I always had kids that loved the mechanics part, so I had that for them to work on. We'd overhaul them, whatever. I had the kids just like to clean. I had the kids want to do the body work. I had kids that want to do the painting. So I had a little something for everybody.
Those tractors are still around and make occasional public appearance. Marvelous machines, but also a testament to the work Kirk and his students did side by side.
So one of the things we always hear when we talk to ag teachers is that one-on-one time with students that they use in working on projects is also a really good time to relate life lessons. Can you relate any that you learned from Mr. Kirk?
A lot of good advice about everything from the opposite sex to taking care of one's reputation and image in a community to studying hard and having a plan to focusing, a whole bunch of topics. Ironically, as I think back about it now, he wasn't really that much older than me. 14-year-old freshman. This was his second teaching post. He couldn't have been 26 or 27. But he seemed like an awfully mature, worldly guy to me in 1974.
I visited with Mr. Kirk at Baptist Integris Hospital in Oklahoma City, where today he is battling both leukemia and melanoma.
Had an old ag teacher tell me one time, he said, here's my philosophy of teaching. He said, I teach them about life, and if there's any time left, I teach them about agriculture. So I kind of followed that philosophy all through the years.
I found another of Kirk's kids just a few miles away. On the 45th floor of Devon Tower, I spoke with Vice President of Public and Government Affairs, Alan Wright, who says the lessons he learned in Kirk's classroom echo throughout his work today.
Problem solving. I mean, nothing on a farm happens like it does in a textbook, and nothing in that environment is linear and just easily solved. And so you got to think through and adapt and adjust and also deal with reality. And so my experiences in vocational agriculture and being exposed to those experiences have helped me a great deal. And then, you know, the leadership experiences in FFA, it was great leadership training.
But for Wright, it was the life lessons that rooted most deeply.
Well, I think that's where Gary was special, and you know, the best teachers always are. You know, those are the people that open your mind and really kind of go beyond the subject matter. You know, we had, as an organization in FFA, we had officers and we had organized meetings, but Gary would spend a lot of time with us teaching us about life. And he took those opportunities to do it and just spent a lot of time trying to help us grow and think beyond just what was happening right now, which is a typical young person's point of view.
Back in Cheyenne, the community has rallied around Gary Kirk. Blood drives in his honor are working to fill the bank. And every day, volunteers drive him the 2.5 hours to Oklahoma City and back again for his ongoing treatment schedule. The love this town feels for its ag teacher is amazing, but it is hardly unexpected. In fact, that bond between teacher and now community is what led Tanner Thompson to Kirk's old classroom.
That's really the driving force behind why I'm here in the classroom on a daily basis, is to connect with those kids and to be a lasting part of their life. I don't want it to end when they graduate high school. I want to continue to see that through and make sure that they're excelling at whatever they want to do.
That is why Gary Kirk may be in a fight for his life, but he isn't fighting alone.
You don't know who you reach when you're teaching these kids. And it kind of showed me that I done more good than I thought I did.
Now, I am happy to tell you that since we shot this story last fall, Gary Kirk has completed his last round of treatment, and so far, so good. Now, if you'd like to see firsthand why someone like Mr. Kirk dedicates his life to generations of students, I have a great little video streaming on our website that explains it all in less than 2 minutes. Just head to our value-added section and look for Ag Teachers Making a Difference.
Horizon is at your fingertips. Join us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube to catch the segments you may have missed and our latest new content as it happens.
Well, going green is one of the big buzzwords of our time. Many valiant efforts have been put forth to help conserve our planet. One right here in Oklahoma. As our Blaine Singletary reports, the Greenleaf Nursery Company takes the green part of its name very seriously.
It's business as usual at Greenleaf's Park Hill facility. Across these hundreds and hundreds of acres lie miles of bubble-like houses with thousands of beautiful plants inside.
We are a wholesale nursery, so we grow plants and basically we grow them in containers and ship them all across the United States.
Meet Randy Davis, president and CEO of Greenleaf. He's been with the company since he was a teenager, and this was little more than a summer job.
I was getting ready to go to college, and one of the owners came to me. They made the comment, well, would you be interested in going to Oklahoma State and getting a degree in horticulture? And I said, yes, I would. And so they told me that I would be the first and only recipient of the Greenleaf Scholarship and that they would pay my way to school to Oklahoma State.
His natural talent took him through college and launched a 40-year career with Greenleaf, taking him all the way to the CEO's office.
And I've been president and CEO for about 16 years now. And it's a company that I'm very passionate about, a great company, great people to work for. And I've tried to pass some of that along. I've actually helped about 4 or 5 kids go to school at OSU and get their degree. So I've passed along what was given to me.
He's also made it his mission to pass along the greatest gift he's received, the planet. This facility is located in the foothills of the Ozark Mountains on the banks of Lake Tenkiller, and he's done all he can to take as little as possible and give back to this picturesque land he calls home.
We take it very serious. You know, we live here, so we care about it, and it's a great lake, and we like to get out and fish on it ourselves and enjoy it, so we take it very serious.
It's this conservation-minded approach to his business that's earned him the Governor's Agriculture Environmental Stewardship Award. He's employed many innovative methods that are not only green in an environmental sense, but in a business sense too. For example, take the biggest challenge all people in his line of work face: water.
Containers have to have water. That's the one thing. When you have a container nursery, everything's grown in an artificial media above the ground. So water is one of the most important things. So we have 7 reservoirs strategically stationed across the nursery here, and we catch all of our runoff water and recycle it.
This ensures that while they get their water from Lake Tenkiller, it won't be flowing back into it, meaning they won't be needing as much later. Davis estimates they've reduced their consumption from the lake by 60% since the reservoirs have been installed. And that's not the only benefit.
Also, it catches any excess nutrients. And as that excess does go back into that irrigation water, it is trapped and caught into our reservoirs, and we repump that water back onto our plants. So we're actually making sure that we use that fertilizer up before it has the opportunity to go into the lake.
And when it rains, the reservoirs also keep the soil from washing into and filling up the lake. But that's not the only way he's reducing his environmental impact and solving another big challenge at the same time when it comes to Old Man Winter.
So we have them in these poly houses, and we put plastic over it, and serves basically as a solar panel that collects the heat. So these houses will stay about 15 to 25 degrees warmer than the outside temperature. And that saves us from using natural gas or propane to heat these houses, so it saves a lot of energy there.
With all these ways and many more, Davis hopes to show that making these green choices isn't just best for business.
Nobody forced us to. There wasn't a government agency that come in and said, you have to catch your runoff water. We did it because it's the right thing to do. We're growing a product that we sell to beautify America. So it would be a shame if we're growing a product that beautifies America and then we didn't take care of our own environment. And we take a lot of cost and a lot of labor and a lot of things, and a lot of initiative to protect the environment.
Now, one word Davis uses to describe his product is predictable. He says that means delivering the same quality product, which also helps our environment.
Want to see more stories like this? All our segments are streaming on our YouTube channel at Oklahoma Horizon TV.
Well, tucked away on the Portland campus of Francis Tuttle Technology Center is District 21, a little restaurant named after the Tech Center's funding district. And what you'll find inside is a fine dining experience that rivals any in the state.
It's a 5-star restaurant experience with a 2-star restaurant price. Students in the culinary program at Francis Tuttle Technology Center are getting a taste of what being a chef is all about.
We taste everything together. We try to be a whole cohesive unit that's serving other people as if they were part of our family.
Tuesday through Friday from 6 to 8:30, you can catch Carlos Martinez behind the scenes at District 21, prepping his students for the restaurant industry.
I ask far too much, and they deliver much more than I think that they can deliver. And it works out because when they leave here, someone's going to ask that same thing of them to deliver what they don't think they can, and they'll have to. And if you're prepared for that, you're prepared for that.
It's a 12-week program filled with real-world restaurant scenarios, a recipe for student success.
Pretty much every week I change the menu to just continuously strive to make better dishes, to give my students more experience in different things. We try to keep it fun and a little playful too. That helps with everybody. The dining experience, it helps with the students. They want to learn new things, and when it's something that's fun, it's a little bit easier to enjoy what's going on.
The menu changes weekly, but the house specialty remains the same. The ribeye steak at this price point is a rare find, and the taste is well done.
You'll forget very quickly that this is a class. The food isn't representational of what you think a class being. The service isn't representational. You will kind of forget that you're even at a school for the time that you're here.
All of the items on the menu are made from scratch, so when the students arrive for their shift, it's go time.
They're going to stroll in at 4 o'clock. They got 2 hours to be fully prepped for the night, and then we're go. And that's kind of how it would normally be for you if you were out in the industry. They have that mindset, and that mindset is what's going to separate you from the person who may have the same skill set, but if you have the right mentality, you're going to go much further.
Next time on Oklahoma Horizon, we head to the growing metro's last frontier, Shawnee, Oklahoma.
Shawnee represents the gateway to the Oklahoma City metro area. We're a regional destination for shopping, for education, for healthcare, for employment, for manufacturing. Our diversity is our strength, and there's tons of opportunity in the Shawnee community.
Small town charm with big city amenities. On Oklahoma Show over the Heartland, Oklahoma Horizon. Well, thanks for including us as part of your day. I'm Rob McClendon. Hope to see you back here next week.